and we are here today for our status hearing. We are conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We are also live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take everybody's announcement.
Todd Albee on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I'm present, ready to proceed, Your Honor. The St. Francis Ministries caseworker, Ms. Kim Flanagan, is here to give us an update on the family plan and the service.
Am I next, Your Honor?
Yes, sir. You can go ahead.
R.C. Holster. I'm here on behalf of the parents, Mr. and Mrs. Randall Downey. It's Randall and Alicia Downey.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the boys.
All right, then we'll get an update from Ms. Flanagan. Mr. Holster, you want me to swear her in, or are you gonna ask questions of her?
I'm gonna just leave it. If you'll swear her in, others give a report, then I may ask her questions.
Okay, great. All right, Mr. Abbey, you have any questions, or you just want her to give us an update?
I can ask questions. Ms. Flanagan, you're a St. Francis Ministries Permanency Specialist.
Yes, I am.
Jay is currently placed where?
Jay is placed in Heartland, Texas, in a foster home.
And Michael is placed where?
Michael is placed at a facility called Pegasus, and I believe Pegasus is in Lockhart, Texas.
And are those placements meeting all of the boys' needs at this time?
Yes, they are.
Are there any special issues or special needs with these boys that have arisen that we need to make the court aware of today?
No.
These boys had some prior criminal proceedings, and then there were some concerns about returning them home that Mr. and Miss Downey, the parents, had expressed to the department. Is that still the concern of the parents?
Yes, that is still a concern of them.
Have you discussed with each of the boys' placements the behaviors that are concerning to the parents?
No, I have not.
Have the placements reported that the boys have any behaviors that are outstanding or that are difficult for them to be handling at this time?
No, sir.
Mr. and Miss Downey, Alicia Downey and Randall Downey are the parents. They're actually the grandparents to these boys. Have you had an opportunity to sit down with them and develop service plans?
Yes, I have.
And were they part of the process in developing those service plans?
Yes, they were.
The service plans that have been developed, are those tailored specifically for the needs of Alicia and Randall Downey?
Yes.
Have you gone over the service plans with Mr. and Miss Downey?
I have. Yes, I have.
And have they voiced concerns to you about services that you're asking them to complete?
They have, in a way. The service plan that we have, there are some points in there that Mr. Downey felt were not tailored to their case. And so I am in the process of speaking with my supervisor to get more clarification on those on what he's requesting.
Specifically, are there services that are needing to be changed, or is it just wording in the service plan that you had that Mr. Downey had some problems with?
It is just the wording in the service plan.
Because you're still working on that service plan, I'm assuming that you have not presented one for the Downeys to sign at this time.
That's correct.
Specifically, what services are you asking that Randall Downey be work during this time when the children are not in their home?
Specifically to maintain contact with St. Francis and to provide his own transportation whenever he's going to visit with the boys, and to maintain contact with the boys.
Specifically for Miss Downey, what services are you asking that she complete?
For her to maintain contact with St. Francis, for her to maintain contact regularly with the boys, and to be able to provide her own transportation when she's visiting with the boys.
The boys have been away from the Downies for some time in their criminal stays, and there are some behaviors that they need to alleviate before the Downies will feel safe with them coming home. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And it would be vital for the Downies to make sure that they are a part of each of those boys' lives at this time, so that they can renew their relationship and be able to eventually have the boys come home safely.
That's correct.
And that's what you are developing your service plan to work on.
Correct. Yes.
Are you asking the court to approve the service plan that you have just outlined for each of the parents?
Yes, I am.
And are you asking that those service plans be made orders of the court today?
Yes.
In the meantime, are you asking that the department be continued as temporary managing conservator of these two boys?
Yes, I am.
And that their relative placements remain the same?
Yes.
Facilities.
All right,
Ms.
Mr. Hillstrom?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Flanagan, I've read the family plan or service plan, and I think you went over that with Ms. Downey on Tuesday. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And like you said, there were some grammatical errors or typing errors or references, and that's what they objected to primarily. Is that true?
Yes, that is true.
Is it true that the way the report was prepared, or what it said, sort of indicated that maybe Ms. Downey were guilty of some negligence or some implication that they may have allowed sexual abuse to go on at their house, and they've discussed that with you, have they not?
They did discuss that with me, yes.
And so what you're going to do is, based upon talking to Ms. Downey, you're going to go ahead and get a revised or updated family plan that shows your name as a caseworker and removes any implication of their wrongdoing. But is that correct?
That is correct, sir. Yes.
Okay. And of course, it will show that you are the sort of the person that they go to in contact instead of Mr. Brandon Hernandez. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I know Mr. Hernandez did the original family plan, but he's no longer working on this case. Is that true?
Yes, that is correct. I am the new caseworker for this case.
Okay. Basically, is it true that Mr. and Ms. Downey are saying, yes, we'll keep contact with you, we'll maintain contact with boys, and we'll do what's required of us, and we're already doing some of that?
That is true. That is true and correct.
Your Honor, with that in mind, I have no further questions of Ms. Flanagan. I appreciate her visiting with Mr. and Mrs. Downey on Tuesday afternoon. I think they visited for a little over an hour, and everybody expressed their concerns and willing to work together. Is that also correct?
Yes, that is correct.
I pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Zavala?
Ms. Flanagan, in regard to Michael, he's at Pegasus, but he's completed successfully the Pegasus program. Is that correct?
Yes, he has.
So they're just kind of holding him right now until we can find a new and different placement for him.
That is correct.
Okay. I know that St. Francis is expending lots of effort in trying to locate that placement for him. There was one that was identified by Pegasus as a potential great fit. Do you have any information on that new encounters?
I do not, but I will check. I will look into it.
Okay. And I do know that St. Francis was looking at that, and that may be an issue that has to do with contracting and things like that. If he can't go there, would the next priority be to try to get him a little bit closer to area, if that's possible?
Yes. Yes.
And right now, is it your understanding that the boys are not having contact with each other, but that could be available if Michael and a therapist decide that that would be okay?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
But no contact between the boys themselves until a therapist says that that's the way to go.
Yes, ma'am. That's true.
Okay. I pass the witness.
Ms. Flanagan, what efforts have you all made to locate other family of the children?
At this moment, Your Honor, we are trying to locate family. When I had the conversation with Mr. Downey, he did tell me of the boy's older brother, so I am trying to pursue that they have an older brother that lives here in town that's a grown-up. So I'm working on pursuing that.
Okay, all right. So we're trying to identify family and then make contact with them as we identify them.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. All right. Mr. Albee, you have any further questions for Ms. Flanagan?
No, Your Honor.
Anybody else have any further questions?
I have one question.
Sure, go ahead.
Ms. Flanagan, am I correct in saying that when you talked to Ms. Downey that you were going to do a revised family plan that removes these objections or elements or incorrections and then present that back to the court?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. That's all I have, Your Honor.
All right. And will those plans be filed today?
Yes, I'm actually waiting to hear back from my supervisor, but I will get them filed as soon as possible.
Well, kind of under the law, that doesn't quite work.
Okay. I will get them done today. Yes.
They need to be filed today.
Yes, ma'am. I will have them filed today.
They're supposed to be filed before this hearing, so that's my concern. So let's just make sure they get filed today.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Mr. Holscher, I understand your client's concerns when these are, wrapper cases that we deal with periodically, and they are not the typical abuse neglect type cases, and so we often have some of these concerns and issues, and you can just convey to your clients that I'm acutely aware that this is not a typical abuse neglect case, that we've got a couple of boys that need some very specialized counseling and treatment and behavior modification, and I didn't read anything that made me think that they hadn't given it their best. So I understand their concerns, and hopefully we will be successful working together and trying to resolve a problem about where they're going to live.
Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate that.
Okay. Mr. Albee, anything further from the department?
No, Your Honor, we rest.
All right, Mr. Holscher, anything else today, sir?
Your Honor, I appreciate what the department's doing and all the staff and the helpers and the people, and I rest.
All right, and Ms. Zavala, anything else today?
Yes, Your Honor. I got to Zoom with both of the boys and see them. They both seem to be doing very well. They both are having regular contact with the Downeys. In regard to Michael, one of the things that he mentioned was when New Encounters was suggested, that was in part because there is some family in Dallas, and that putting him in the Dallas area would get him closer to family. But we talked about some other options and whether he could get closer this way. But both boys seem to be doing really well and seem to be having good contact with the Downeys.
All right, thank you. Okay, then at this time, I'm going to continue the department as temporary managing conservator and continue placement, and find that it would be a continuing and ongoing concern to return the children, to return the two boys to the home at this point in time. I am going to order the service plans to be in order of the court. Mr. Holster, if you'll just convey to your clients, the consequences of not working services could mean the kids don't come home, and worst case scenario, of course, it can mean termination of parental rights. Don't think that's the road we're going to head down here, but I'm just required to make sure they understand those things.
We understand that, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. All right, then. Our next hearing will be our initial permanency hearing, and that's scheduled for January 16th of 2024. And that will be a 9 o'clock docket. So the docket will go out about a week in advance, and it'll give you your exact we'll take everybody's announcements on the docket.
Todd Alvey, on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, I'm present and ready to proceed, Your Honor.
T.D. Hammonds for the mom, Iris Candidato. I'm ready, Judge. I can tell you, Ms. Watson and I discussed last week phone numbers and contact information for Ms. Candidato. I've tried all of that. I've tried all of her family. None of them have responded back to me. So I may find out this morning from Ms. Watson. Ms. Candidato was going to go into Synacor, and I don't know if that's happened.
She's present with us, Mr. Hammonds.
Ms. Candidato is?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Great.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the child.
Okay. All right, Mr. Alley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would call Ms. Sasha Watson. Zaid's how old?
Sadie is about 10 months now, I believe.
And when did your original report come in that you began your investigation start?
The intake came in June 11th. I made initial contact on June 12th.
So that was about 3 months ago?
Yes, sir.
So at that time, Zadie would be 7 months old?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what were the allegations in your intake report?
The allegations were allegations of drug use by mom and caring for the child as well.
Did you begin your investigation and talk to Miss Iris?
Yes, sir.
And did she, when you talked with her about her drug use, did she, what was her response?
She reported to me that she had gone to get help and that she was clean at the time. And we discussed that she did go to a facility. However, she checked herself out 3 days after checking herself in and receiving positive results from the intake screen at the facility.
What was the drug that she admitted that she was using?
Methamphetamine.
And did you follow up at different times in the next couple of months with Ms. Candidato concerning the concerns the department has with her meth use?
Yes, sir.
Was she cooperative in agreeing to work services for you?
Anytime we spoke about services, Ms. Candidato was very unsure about participating in services, and she would respond to me and tell me she needed to speak with her father and her sister before coming to a decision on participating in any services.
Did you explain the FBS services to her?
Yes, sir.
And so in June, she tested positive for methamphetamine when she was at the facility?
Yes, sir.
Did she screen for you in July?
Yes, sir. She screened for me in June as well as in, I believe, August. June 26th was the first time she screened for me, and then she didn't screen for me again until August.
Did you ask her to screen in July?
Yes, sir.
When her drug screens came back in August, did you go talk to her about those results?
Yes, sir, I did.
And what was her response when she saw the results of those drug screens?
At the time of the August results coming back, she was just made aware. At that time, the case had been over 30 days old, in which I was getting pushback in Mrs. Candidato signing a safety plan. And so that was staffed with program director and supervisor, in which Ms. Candidato was made aware that without the safety plan, we would wait for her drug screen results to come back, and we would do a legal staffing pending those results, in which they came out positive. So she was made aware that a legal staffing was being held due to her not wanting to sign the renewal of the safety plan in August.
Did she ever sign a renewal of the safety plan?
Yes, sir. She signed the initial in June, and then she signed a renewal in July. And then we got to August and she just refused to sign. And then after refusing, she did say that she would participate and sign the safety plan. However, upon several attempts of doing that, it was not successful.
We filed our petition requesting that Ms. Candidato be ordered to work services.
Yes, sir.
What services are we asking that she work?
It is believed that Ms. Candidato does need some sort of drug education courses to strengthen her in sobriety and to access and gain knowledge of all the things she needs to obtain a sober lifestyle, as well as some possible parenting classes and or counseling.
You would also be requesting that she maintain contact with you?
Yes, sir.
That she take an OSAR evaluation so that we can get her the correct treatment for her?
Yes, sir.
And that she drug screen when you ask her to?
Yes, sir.
Where is the child currently at?
Zadie is in the care of her grandfather at this time, Mr. Victor Gutierrez Sr.
And is that by agreement with Iris?
Yes, sir. In the beginning, I was made aware that Mr. Victor was a protective caregiver and he was not allowing Iris to have primary access to Zadie. However, when I did go over in June, she was alone with the child.
Do you know if Iris is working right now?
No, sir, I'm unaware she is working. When I first spoke with her, she was not working.
And do you know if she's residing outside of the home or is she residing in the home with her child?
She has her own home.
Do you feel like the child is safe in its current placement?
Yes, sir, I do believe that Mr. Gutierrez Sr. is a protective caregiver.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness, Sharon.
Mr. Hammonds?
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Watson, when was the last time you spoke to Iris other than this morning or yesterday, for instance?
The last time I spoke to Iris when around the time she was made aware of when the court hearing was. I went to give her the order for the court hearing. And she did have a few questions following that, in which she was given her attorney's number and contact information to kind of go over everything at that point.
Do you know what date that was?
Off the top of my head, no, sir, I do not. It was...
But about a week ago?
No, I don't believe. I have not spoken to Ms. Candidato in September. I did receive a text message before our last court hearing stating that she was going to Senecor and she was going to have a bed. However, when reaching out to Ms. Candidato at her number, the number was not accepting calls.
Okay, and do you know whether or not she ever admitted herself that second time to Senecor?
No, sir. Well, grandfather,
Do you know how-
I did speak to grandfather, and grandfather told me that per mother's word, she said she was going to check herself in, but that is the only knowledge that I have of that.
Okay. And are you able to talk to Victor Gutierrez on the phone number that he's given you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you've stayed in contact with him?
Yes, sir. I spoke with him after the last hearing that we had.
Okay. You mentioned that Miss Candidato has her own home.
Yes, sir.
Does she live there by herself?
As far as my knowledge goes, yes, sir.
Okay, do you know how she's paying for that?
No, sir. There was a previous case in which the domestic violence unit helped her acquire the home.
Okay. Does she have any other children?
Yes, sir.
And how old are they?
She has a 17-year-old, and I believe her middle child is 10 years old, and they live primarily with their father.
Does she maintain visitation with those kids?
Whenever they go with their grandfather.
The last time you spoke to Ms. Candidato, did she indicate to you she'd be willing to cooperate with the department?
The last time I spoke with her was whenever we attempted to get her to sign the safety plan, and then the initial contact after that when she reported that she would sign it, in which those attempts were unsuccessful. And then she messaged me saying she had a bed at Centocor, and then I was unable to reach her at that point.
Okay, and do you happen to, just again off the top of your head, remember when she messaged you about going to Centocor? I mean, we're talking a couple weeks ago.
It may have been a week or so prior to that court hearing that was held on the 9th.
Okay. But when you went and handed her paperwork about this hearing, she was at her home.
The hearing about this hearing, I have not been able to contact Ms. Candidato regarding the hearing that we're holding today.
Okay, do you know then how she got this information?
No, sir, I do not. I did speak with her father, and I let him know that the court hearing was moved to today, and that is possible that she got that information. Other than that, I do not know.
Okay, I have nothing further, Judge.
All right, Ms. Zavala.
You had mentioned the 10-year-old. Is that Zoe who's mentioned in some
Yes.
previous? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
But Zoe's not living with Iris, but her father. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. She lives with her father.
Okay. And then Miguel lives with the grandfather?
Miguel lives with his father also.
His father, okay.
And he's 17, so he comes and goes.
Okay. Those are all the questions I have.
All right. Mr. Albee, anything further?
Ms. Watson, if Zadie was returned to Ms. Candidato today, do you feel like Zadie would be in danger?
Yes, sir.
And though we're not asking that the child be removed and placed in the care of the department, do you feel like the services that you're requesting that mom work would be necessary to alleviate that danger?
Yes, sir.
Pass witness.
Nothing further, Judge.
Ms. Zavala, anything else?
Yeah.
So what's the longer term plan? I mean, if she completes Centocor, then where do we go from there?
Judge, we would ask that you order that she, if she's at Centocor, that she complete that Centocor, and then that she do some parenting and counseling. And Your Honor, I think that would be sufficient under this petition to participate. And then we would no longer be involved and would not require a safety plan between Iris and her father.
Okay. All right, Mr. Albee, you have any further witnesses today?
I do not, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Hammonds?
Judge, I need to ask Iris a few questions, please, if you want to swear her in.
Okay, is it Candidato?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Candidato, my name is T.D. Hammonds. I've been appointed by the court to represent you in this matter. How did you find out about this hearing?
How did I find out about Centocor?
About this hearing, about what we're doing right now?
I spoke with my father. I call my dad every other day, and he let me know that the schedule. I mean, it was rescheduled because, y'all know the last week it was, I guess, Memorial Day weekend.
Okay, where are you right now?
I'm in Synacor.
Okay, and how long have you been there?
I've been here since September 3rd.
Okay. Have they indicated to you how long they would like you to stay? What kind of program they've set up for you?
Yes, sir. I'm gonna be here, I believe, for 30 days, 35 days, and then they gave me a packet to go to AA meetings and NA meetings and some other meetings. I don't have it on me right now, but it's a packet of what they want me to do when I get out of here.
Okay, and you heard Miss Watson indicate earlier you have your own home, correct?
Yes, sir.
How are you able to pay for that right now?
My ex-husband owns a paint and body shop, and he's been paying my bills.
Okay, and were the two of you actually divorced, or were you living together and separated, or what happened?
We've been divorced for a few years now. He just helps me out, because I have the kids. My kids have always been under my care until after I left Faith Mission and CPS got involved. I haven't had my kids with me since. Well, a little bit prior to that, my dad had already taken Zadie because I had been leaving her. I wasn't picking her up because I wasn't, I was doing what I was doing. But my dad said, I'm not gonna hand her over until you go get some help. So, like maybe a month or two prior to that, my dad and my sister were taking care of Zadie and Zoe. So,
Okay, you said you left, I'm sorry, Faith Nation?
Faith Mission. I went over there to go get help, and they're the ones that, the pastor's wife is the one that involved CPS. She called CPS on me because I left.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, here's the thing. This is what the judge needs to know today. Are you committed to getting yourself clean and cooperating with the department?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you understand? What the judge can do today is court order you to do that and to cooperate and do what they want you to do. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And you understand if you do not do that, the next step could be the department seeks to place your son somewhere. Now, the reality of it could be that they place your son, with Victor Gutierrez, for instance, but your parental rights would then be affected. You understand that?
Yes, sir. He'll be 18th,
Okay.
18th of this month.
I'm sorry, what about the 18th?
He'll be 18 years old on the 16th.
I'm sorry, who will be 18 years old?
My son.
Oh, Miguel?
Yes. But yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
I'm willing to cooperate. I'm willing to do anything so that I could get my life right and so that I could get my daughters back. That's why I'm here in Synacor, and I'm going to finish the program. I'm going to do what they asked me to do. And I want my daughters back.
Okay, you understand, you heard Mr. Alvey, he represents the department. You heard him say, if you complete that program, if you continue to cooperate with the department, they will work with you and they will not seek to remove your son from your custody. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have nothing further, Judge.
All right. Mr. Albee, do you have any questions?
No, Your Honor, I do not.
All right, and Ms. Zavala.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Hammonds, anything else today?
No, Judge.
All right. Ms. Zavala, anything to present today?
No, Your Honor, I have not yet gotten to meet with Zadie, but I know that information regarding Mr. Gutierrez has been provided to us, and I anticipate that I'll be able to see her soon.
Ms. Vala, any further recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor, it is my recommendation in the best interest of Zadie, that mom be ordered to work services in the hopes that, that everybody can come back together as a family.
All right, then I do find the evidence is sufficient to find that there is a substantial risk of abuse or neglect, and that there would be a continuing danger to the physical health or safety of Zadie to remain in the home or under the care or primary care of her mother at this time, and that services are necessary to ensure the physical health and safety of the child. So I am going to order Ms. Candidato to participate in services as the department has outlined and requested. And essentially, Ms. Candidato, I'm ordering you to complete that inpatient treatment and do everything, while you're there, do everything that you can. They offer most of these things for you, so you can get a lot of these things done while you're there at Centacor. We will have a review hearing on this on November 28th of 2023. That'll be on a 9:00 docket. And, hopefully everything there at Centacor will go well for you. And, we won't be involved with you forever and ever, and you can go on about rebuilding your life.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, then I'll see everybody back in November. Good luck, Ms. Candidato. Hope everything goes great.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, we are here today on a request.
All right, thank you,
for
Judge.
Services.
Thank you,
We are
Judge.
conducting this hearing through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor's making our record. We'll go ahead and take your announcements.
Todd Alvey on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I'm present, ready to proceed, Your Honor.
Todd Henderson on behalf of Trinity and Cineas, we're present and ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the kids.
All right, thank you. Okay, any announcements to make, or are we ready to call a first witness?
Thank you, Your Honor. I would call Miss Emily Braden.
Proceed.
Miss Braden, you're an investigator working for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services.
Yes, that's correct.
In that capacity, did you begin an investigation on Trini Encianas in this year?
Yes, I did.
And was that concerning two of her grandchildren and her oldest son?
Yes.
And what were the allegations in that intake report?
There were concerns of domestic violence in the home
And when did you receive that intake?
on May 4th, 2023.
And did you begin your investigation on or about May 4th then?
Yes, I made first contact on May 5th.
And when you discussed the domestic violence with Miss Encianas, what was her response?
She reported her ex-boyfriend coming to the home. She talked about him being upset with her because he thought she had stolen his marijuana, and talked about him trying to break down the door and making different threats about bombing the car and killing her. But she denied any weapons being present.
Did you have further contact after May the 5th with Miss Encianas?
And Cineas.
Yes, I have.
And when was the next time that you had contact with her?
I had contact with her again on May 8th.
And what was that contact about?
It was about her drug screening for the department.
And did she cooperate and drug screen for you?
Yes, she did.
And what was the outcome of that drug screen?
It was positive for marijuana.
Okay. When was the next time that you had contact with her?
I had contact throughout. I couldn't tell you the specific date of my next contact with her. She would send me messages back and forth asking for different things.
Did you ask her to voluntarily begin working services?
Yes, I did.
And what was her response to you requesting for her to work services?
She stated that she wouldn't be able to because she didn't have time to do any services.
Do you know where she was? Well, where was she living on May 5th when you began your investigation?
She was living at a house on living by herself with the 3 children.
And since then, has she had to move?
Yes, she was evicted from the home.
Do you know where she's living now?
She's currently living with her boyfriend, the alleged perpetrator in the case.
So the person who came to her house threatening to blow her up with the kids because she stole his marijuana is the person she's now living with?
That's correct.
And do you know when she began living with him?
Yes, she moved back in with him on July 20th.
And have you discussed with her your concerns about those living arrangements?
Yes, I have.
Have you asked her again to voluntarily work services?
Yes, I have.
And has she been cooperative in
Um,
I'm just going to say in the further requests that you've made?
no, she has not.
In August, was she arrested?
She was not arrested.
Was the original perpetrator from May 5th arrested?
Yes, he was.
Do you know what he was arrested for?
He was arrested for burglary of a habitation with intent to assault.
And at that time, did Miss Encianas have to leave the house where the boyfriend was?
Yes, she did.
Did she have a place to go?
To my knowledge, no, she went to New Mexico.
Do you know when she moved back into the home with the boyfriend?
She told me on August 25th that she had moved back into the home with the boyfriend.
Do you feel like that is a safe environment for her grandchildren and her child?
I do not.
Are you therefore requesting that she be ordered to work services?
Yes, I am.
The services that you're requesting are what?
I'm requesting that she maintain contact with the department, that she maintain appropriate housing that's safe for the children, that she maintain employment if appropriate, that she engage in an OSAR assessment to determine what drug services she may need to maintain a sober lifestyle, as well as parenting classes and domestic violence support and counseling to address any mental health concerns.
When was the last time that you talked to her about working these services?
The last time I spoke with Trini about working these services was on August 31st.
Do you know if she's working currently?
She told me that she has gained employment.
Do you know where?
To my knowledge, it's McDonald's.
And where are the children when she's working?
They're at school.
Do you believe that if the court orders that she work these services, that it will alleviate some of the concerns concerning the danger that the children are in currently?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Just from my reading, it sounded like there was a bond restriction on the boyfriend. Is that true?
That's what it sounded like, but I followed up since then and they deny there being any bond restrictions.
Who denies?
The jail.
All right. Okay. All right. Mr. Henderson?
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Braden, that incident in May that Lawrence ended up getting charged from, there wasn't, as far as you're aware, there wasn't actually any physical contact or assault. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And is it your understanding that he actually made it into the house? Is that right?
I don't know that he did make it into the house.
Okay. You're not sure if he did.
he broke down, or he was breaking the door, but she said that she contacted the police and he left when he knew the police had been called. And so I'm not sure if he had actually made entry.
Okay. Okay. So we're not sure about that. Do you know how long they've been together? Did you ask her about that?
They've been together for several years. They have CPS history dating back in New Mexico, together for several years.
I didn't see, and I could have missed it, but I didn't see allegations of physical abuse. It looks like there's been verbal stuff, much like that incident. Was there physical abuse other times?
Are you talking about to the children or to Trini?
Trini.
She denied any physical abuse between them. She did speak that there's a lot of emotional and verbal abuse.
Okay. And were there any criminal cases? Just a second. Were there any criminal cases against Lawrence that you found for assault on Trini?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. Were there any allegations that he had assaulted the children?
No.
Okay. Any criminal cases to that effect?
No.
Okay. Any allegations that he had committed any verbal or emotional type abuse towards the children?
No, not towards the children. Trini did talk about Jay Sean not liking Lawrence because of the way that he treated his mom.
Okay. Originally, Trini was living in a different apartment. Right, that's what you stated, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. And are you aware of why she moved from there?
She was evicted.
Okay. Was she provided with any resources?
Yes, she was.
Okay, what were those resources?
I gave her a handout of resources for everything, from food resources to housing to childcare, counseling. It had several, it's an entire booklet of resources.
Okay. On her drug screen, she tested positive for marijuana. Did you discuss her marijuana use with her?
I did.
Okay. And did she state that she has a medical marijuana card from New Mexico?
She did.
Okay. And did she state that when she uses marijuana, it's when she goes to New Mexico?
She did say that.
Okay. And the children, or at least her grandchildren, we should clarify, Messiah and Jariah, their other grandmother lives in New Mexico, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And so your understanding is she will go over there and they will go see their other grandmother as well, correct?
That is, yes, occasionally they will.
Okay. And her name's Patricia.
That's correct.
Okay. And so Trini told you it's when she goes over there to New Mexico that she uses marijuana because she has that card.
That's what Trini said.
I'm sorry, Trini. And did she tell you the reasons that she has the medical marijuana card?
She stated that she's disabled and that she uses it for pain.
Okay. Did she talk about PTSD?
Yes, she did.
Okay. Did you discuss with her whether she sees any mental health professionals now?
I did, and she denied seeing any.
Okay. Were there any allegations of any other drug usage?
No, there were not, but Messiah spoke about her drug usage as well and gave a different story than what she did.
Pass the witness.
Ms. Zavala? Ms. Zavala?
Yes, Miss Braden, it sounds like you've had a number of different conversations with Trini since the beginning of May about the domestic violence incident, or domestic violence in general. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so back in May, she was working with the Victims Assistance Unit to try to get a protective order. Is that
That's
right?
correct. Yes.
So at that point, her position would be there was domestic violence if she was working towards a protective order.
That's correct.
Okay, and so then at a different time, when he was in the home, you spoke with her and she said, everything's good, there aren't any concerns anymore, at a time when he was right there with her.
We were in a separate room in the house, but yes.
Okay. And then in August 13th, it looks like she was out of the house because the police had told her that she and the children had to leave. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and y'all had another conversation. It says, Trini acknowledges the domestic violence being a concern and states she feels this is a better option when she was talking about possibly living in a motel.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so that conversation took place not in the presence of Lawrence.
That's correct.
And then now she and the children have moved back in with Lawrence, and her position is now that domestic violence has never been a concern.
That's correct.
The house that she and the children are living in now, does it belong to Lawrence?
I don't know if he owns it or if he's renting.
Has anybody spoken with Lawrence about the possibility of him moving out of the house and letting Trini and the kids reside there?
No, I attempted to speak with Lawrence and he didn't want to talk to me. Oh,
So there's no indication that we could have some sort of agreement that he voluntarily leaves the home.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
So there's no indication that we could get some sort of agreement for him to voluntarily leave the home.
That's correct.
And as far as we know, he's the one with the claim to the home that she's living in.
Yes, that's correct.
Either he's renting or he owns that home.
Yes.
Is there any assistance that the department could give her regarding the housing issue?
Not necessarily. We can help provide resources, but we don't specifically help with housing.
Could you assist her in trying to get information on a shelter or temporary housing while she finds something more permanent?
Yes, absolutely. I've tried to talk with her about going to shelters and she didn't want to do that. She didn't want to take her children to the shelter.
Does Lawrence have any biological relationship to any of these kids?
No, he doesn't.
I pass the witness.
Mr. Albee?
Thank you, Your Honor. The impression that you get from the children about Trini's marijuana use is what?
Messiah spoke about her smoking her medicine at home. And whenever I asked him more questions about that, he stated that it was weed and he was able to describe what it looked like.
And though Trini may have a medical marijuana card in New Mexico, it's still illegal to use and possess marijuana in the state of Texas.
That's correct, which Messiah talked about her smoking it here. He clarified that it was at their home.
In reviewing your CPS history and the criminal history of the people here, is this domestic violence that occurred on May the 5th, is that something that has happened in the past?
Yes, it is.
And Trini actually explained to you that there was emotional, mental violence or abuse made towards her by Lawrence.
Yes, that's correct.
These grandsons that she has, Jariah is 3, Messiah is 6.
Yes.
But Mr. Albee, stop you. You said Jariah, you said it's 3?
Correct.
Okay. What is his date of birth? We've got something incorrect in our system. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
That's fine. We're attempting, or you're hoping to attempt to help Trini get into another home, become established, and be able to provide a safe and stable environment for the grandchildren and for her 16-year-old son.
Yes, as well as build a support system to help her maintain that moving forward.
Thank you, Ms. Braden. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Any further questions, Mr. Henderson?
I have a few to follow up with, Judge. Ms. Braden, during your contact starting in May, you've been able to observe the children several times, correct?
That's correct.
It appears from the report that they've always been dressed appropriately. You didn't observe anything that was concerning about the children. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And did you visit, at least two of them are in school, I think at Margaret Wills and then the older one at Tesco. Did you go to their schools to visit with anyone there?
Yes, I did. And the youngest one is also in school. He's in a pre-K program at
Okay.
Region 16.
All right. Did the schools have any concerns as far as anything they had seen or attendance or anything like that?
There were attendance issue or concerns reported from last school year, none from this school year. The school year has just recently started. The only concerns that they spoke about, which it was consistent with Jariah's teacher and Messiah's teacher, was that the boys are aggressive.
Okay. Was the school taking any action for that?
Jariah's teacher had just spoken with Trini about everything. She just talked about him being physically violent towards other kids and not listening, and said that she had just told Trini about all of that.
Okay. So those were their, sorry, I thought you said attendance concerns. They weren't attendance concerns. They were concerns about some aggression.
So the attendance concerns were from last school year, but
Okay.
his teacher this year that I spoke to stated that she had just spoken to Trini about the physical aggression.
Okay. We're talking about, I understand the OSAR assessment, employment, housing. Has Trini told you she's previously taken a parenting class at least one time?
Yes, she has.
Okay. And then what, we have the OSAR, we have counseling, the domestic violence support group. As far as the parenting class goes, what specifically are you hoping that will address?
How to make positive choices and maintaining or in building a safe environment for her kiddos.
And what about the counseling?
The counseling, I would hope to address the PTSD, anxiety, and depression that she reported she was struggling with.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Braden. I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Zavala?
I have no further questions, Chairman.
All right, Mr. Abbey, any further questions?
No, Your Honor, and we would rest. We don't have any further witnesses.
Okay, well, I've got a couple questions for Ms. Braden. So exactly what are we asking her to move out of the house and take the children with her?
I mean, that would be ideal if she would be willing to. She hadn't at this point, she has refused all options of moving out of the home.
Well, and I guess to some degree, the indications have been she doesn't have the ability to provide alternative housing right now.
That's correct, but she's also denied any other shelters or domestic violence shelters or anything like that.
I understand. I also understand her concern about taking the children into that environment. So the request is that she would work these services, even though she may still be in the home with the alleged perpetrator of the domestic violence.
Yeah, and hopefully over time show that there isn't going to be any more domestic violence in the home, or that she's able to build supports to where she is able to move out on her own and away from the environment.
Okay, Mr. Henderson?
Judge, I'll call Trini Insinius. And Trini, you have 3 children that live with you, correct?
Yes, sir.
And one is Jariah, and that's your grandson, correct?
Yes, sir.
And he's how old?
He's 3 years old.
Okay, and Messiah is your grandson, correct?
Yes, sir.
And he's how
6
old?
years old.
Okay, and then your son lives with you as well.
Yes, sir. And he's 16.
Okay, and that's Jason, correct?
Yes, sir. That is
Okay.
Jason Johnson.
Okay, and he is, you said he's 16.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
He'll be
and
17 in January.
17 in January. Okay, and Trini, you've obviously been able to hear the testimony that's been given so far, correct?
Yes, sir. But someone was cutting out when They were talking about the drug issue.
Okay,
About
well,
the drug
let's talk about that. You have you tested positive for marijuana, correct?
Right.
And is it accurate? You don't deny that you do use marijuana on occasion, is that correct?
I don't deny it, but I do deny that Miss Brady said that Messiah said I smoke in the home here in Texas. No, I do not. And I know that is a lie because Messiah, I don't smoke in the house. He wouldn't say nothing like that.
Okay. So when you, and to back up, you have a medical marijuana card, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that's from New Mexico.
Yes, sir.
And what are the reasons you have that?
PTSD, depression, anxiety disorder, and pain management.
Okay.
I'm actually looking into a way how to get it out here. It says I have to see some Kurt doctor, and I'm looking into it.
And so your testimony is you use marijuana when you go to New Mexico.
Yes, sir.
And where are the children at that time?
They're either with their grandmother, Patricia Sylvia, or they're either with me, which I don't keep them around me when I'm using the use of marijuana because I just don't. And
Okay.
a lot of them are gummy bears, so I don't understand why they're saying I smoke marijuana around the kids in Texas, or I don't know.
Hold on, make sure you're getting
Not
close.
true.
Hold on, make sure you're getting close to your phone to speak because you're cutting out a little bit, okay? And the further you
That is
back
not
up,
true that I use marijuana in Texas because for one, I don't do flour. I do a lot of gummy bears. So
Okay.
that is a lie.
okay. How often do you go to New Mexico?
Whenever I have to meet with my federal attorney or
Okay.
take care of my personal business,
Okay. How often do you think that is?
maybe once a week.
Do the kids go with you every time?
Oh yes, I never leave them unattended.
You gotta scoot back in. Say that
I
again.
never leave them here when I go to New Mexico. They're never home alone. No, I take them with me.
So now what about since school has started? How do you handle that?
How do I handle that?
Well, when you have to go to New Mexico, the kids are in school.
And I wait till the weekend, till a Friday.
That's what I was asking. Okay, thank you.
I take very, very good care of these kids. Me and Lawrence have been together 10 years. Them kids call my boyfriend Papa. So, and I'm not supposed to take me out of the home on this domestic violence. For two, that's why they
No.
deny
Hang on,
we're not
hang
supposed
on,
to have contact.
hang on. Stop talking for a second. Number one, I didn't ask you any questions. Number two, your sound is cutting out and we're having a lot of trouble understanding what you're saying. And part of
Mr.
it is,
Henderson, I want to
Yeah.
try something. I want to see if we can turn her video off and she can just talk, maybe not on speakerphone.
okay. So we'll turn the video off and then use the phone just up to your ear like you would normally.
I'm afraid to turn it off. I don't want to, because it was giving me such a big problem trying to log in.
We'll just go to the menu option to stop video. Okay, there you go.
Okay, now is it stopped?
It is, and it sounds like the sound is improved to me.
Oh, great. Okay, good idea.
It's still very faint. Are you still using the speakerphone?
Yes, ma'am. I don't know. It doesn't show me where to take it off speaker. Okay. Now, can you hear me?
Yes, just try to speak up the best that you can.
Yes, ma'am. I don't know, but it seems to me like someone's pushing a button somewhere else because it keeps showing different suggestions on my phone.
Okay, just leave everything where it is right now.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Henderson, go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Trini, you've been with Lawrence, like you said, for 10 years, correct?
Yes, sir.
And there was testimony about you potentially seeking a protective order, right?
What? I'm sorry.
There was some testimony that you were perhaps going to try to get a protective order against Lawrence. Is that correct?
No, I never spoke that. No, I did not.
Okay, you're saying you were never going to get a protective order.
I never told nobody I was going to.
Okay, well, I'm asking you, were you going to?
No.
Okay, and
Man has been together in my grandkids and my kids' life for 10 years. And for me to separate these kids from him, it's going to cause some depression and what else?
okay, Trini, has there been physical violence between you and Lawrence? Can you muted yourself?
Gosh, can you hear
Okay.
me now?
Yes.
No, sir, no physical abuse at all. I
Okay.
don't even have a history of domestic violence. No.
Okay. Trini, do you have the ability to move out of the house you're living in?
No, sir, I don't. I
Does
don't have
Lawrence-
nowhere to go.
Okay. Does Lawrence own that house or does he rent that house?
Rent.
Okay. And you had some money at one time that you've used it over the years for expenses, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that money, it was from a legal settlement, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
My son committed suicide years ago.
And that money was paying your rent. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, it was.
Okay. But then when the money was gone, that's why you got evicted.
Yes, sir, you're correct. And they stopped my Social Security disability out here in Amarillo, Texas.
Okay. Have
Because
you
of
been
that.
able to get, just very recently, have you been able to get some government assistance?
Yes, sir. I got the cash assistance now going. I got Medicaid for each child with the Medicaid cards. And I also got $979 in food stamps. And I navigated all this on my own with no help. This is the kind of help I kept trying to reach out for, and nobody seemed to help me navigate none of it.
So Trini, how much per month will you get in food stamps?
$979.
Okay. And then you also got, I think you told me it's TANF.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
On one, it varies because last month I got 444. Then this month it's saying that I'm gonna get 400, and I'm not sure if it's 60 some. I need to relook at my app. It shows on my app on my phone,
Okay.
but it's 400 and some in cash,
Okay.
plus their Medicaid cards, plus the food stamps, plus me working.
And that's
now.
what I was going to talk about next. You've started working at McDonald's, correct?
Yes, sir. Nights
And
and days sometimes.
okay. And is that full time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So between the assistance you're receiving now and your job, you believe that that's possibly alleviating some of the concerns about you not being able to support yourself and the children?
Well, not support, but because with this money I had from my son's death, I used a lot of that money to support my family. And then when it stopped and the money was gone, that's when I started reaching out to get government assistance here in Amarillo, Texas.
Right.
They
Hold on.
Gave me the biggest hard time in
Hold
the
on.
world.
Right. Hold on. What I'm saying is now with the assistance you receive as well as working, you believe that's going to allow you to support yourself and the children, correct?
Definitely. Yes, sir.
Okay. And Trini, do you already see a mental health professional?
Yes, I do. I have a mental health doctor.
Okay.
I've
And
been with him since I moved out here.
okay. And are you on medication?
Yes, I am. For my diagnosis, I take Paxil 40 milligrams.
Okay.
So I don't know what they mean by my mental health is not stable. It very is. So I see two doctors for that, my primary and my mental health.
Okay. And Trini, do you believe that you're able to care for these children appropriately?
Definitely.
Okay. Do you feel that they are in any sort of physical or mental, emotional danger, anything like that?
No, sir, they're not.
Okay.
And I know how to move and protect these kids.
And just to clarify, while you don't believe that you need these services, if the judge tells you to do any services, are you willing to do them?
Yes, sir. I mean, I have no choice if a judge rules it out, but like the parenting, I've taken so many in New Mexico. I even did the child protective that they brought up from 1999. My oldest daughter's 24 years old, which is irrelevant for them to bring up the past history on my CPS case, which a lot of them were unsubstantiated, like said. And
hold on, let me stop you. Let me stop you. You tend to get far afield there. Your point is you've taken parenting classes before and you don't feel that you need another parenting class, correct?
No, sir. And I even also applied for my GED out here.
Okay.
To take my GED to
Okay.
better put myself in a better situation. I want to take some law.
And Trini, do you want to move out of the house you're living in if you're able to, or are you wanting to stay there?
If I'm able to, if there was housing, but no one, Miss Emily Grayson never gave me housing paperwork, never gave me the phone numbers for housing, which I know there's Google. I have a comprehension disability. So a lot of the stuff, I need to have a navigator for a lot of this stuff.
Okay.
Which I told her, I don't mind about having a case manager. I wouldn't mind. They could have a lunch with me. I don't mind. But I'm not going to have them sit and lie and saying I'm neglecting and abusing these kids and there's drug and alcohol use in this home. No, there's not. For one, I don't use no drugs in the home. I don't even use drugs, period. For two, I haven't even drank in 20 years plus. I'm 48 years old. I'm doing my daughter a favor by raising her grandkids, by helping the other grandmother out because she always left my grandsons alone with.
Your Honor, I object to
Okay.
the narrative.
Thank you. Thank you. Sustained.
Okay. I'm going to pass the witness.
All right. Mr. Alley, do you have any questions?
I have to ask some, Your Honor. Miss Trini, you're muted again. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me,
Yes.
ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. On May 5th, did Lawrence try to break your door down?
I don't know what date it was, but he came to my house and he tried kicking the door down. Yes, he did.
Okay. And did you call the police?
Yes, I did.
And he was angry enough that you were scared enough to call the police?
I just wanted him to leave my property. I wasn't scared.
Did he make threats to you?
I don't remember.
Okay. And you said that you're taking Paxil?
Yes, I do take Paxil.
And then you go to New Mexico once a week and get marijuana?
No, I don't go to New Mexico and get marijuana. I never said I get marijuana in New Mexico. I said I go to New Mexico once a week.
Okay. And your testimony was that you go to see the doctor and that you regularly use gummy bear marijuana. Is that correct?
No, sir, I don't regularly use it because if I regularly use it, then I would be using it here in Texas. No, I did not.
Okay. So in New Mexico, when you're in New Mexico, do you buy the gummy bears?
No, I don't.
Somebody just gives those to you?
I go to New Mexico.
Well, that's what I asked you, ma'am. When you go to New Mexico, do you buy the gummy bears?
Oh, yes. For that day, yes, I do.
Okay.
For that particular day, I buy what I'm going to take that day, and that's it.
Okay. And how much do those cost?
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember. I don't go to
ma'am,
medical like that. You're asking me and acting like I purchase this all the time. No, I don't.
Well, ma'am, you're the one who says that you use it in New Mexico. I didn't. And my question is, how much does it cost you when you use it?
I'm not I'm not a resident of New Mexico. I'm a resident of Texas. You can't confuse me.
Ma'am, I'm just trying to follow up on your testimony. Do you use marijuana in New Mexico?
Sometimes.
And when you do you buy it?
Sometimes when I have money.
And how much does it cost?
I don't know.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. I'll pass witness.
All right. Ms. Vol.
I wanted to follow up on the job situation. You said you'll be working nights. Where will the kids be while you're working?
With my son.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I can't hear.
With my son.
The 16-year-old?
And they're asleep. They go to sleep at 9:00 p.m. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so the 16-year-old who's sleeping will be the one in charge of them?
Yes, the one that does not like to speak to you guys because most of these allegations are lies.
Objection to the non-responsiveness of that answer, Your Honor.
Sustained.
I'm just curious. You said you have to go to New Mexico once a week. What's that for?
My son committed suicide in a prison cell in New Mexico. I'm federally suing the state of New Mexico and departments of corrections. So whenever they need me to go fill out paperwork or whatever they need me for. I work voluntarily for ACLU. I made 2018 the liberty for the guardian of the state of New Mexico.
Is Lawrence working?
Yes, he works full time. He owns his own semi truck.
Is he an over the road driver?
Yes, he is.
So is he home every day, or what's his schedule?
No, he's not. He's hardly ever home now. He's gone 1 or 2 weeks, maybe a month. Then he'll come home for 1, 2 days, maybe 3 days, maybe a week at the most for downtime. And then he got to head back right out there. So a lot of things have changed since the caseworker has investigated. Like, he's no longer hardly in the home. Hello? You're breaking up. I cannot hear you.
I haven't said anything. So Brittany, Jariah, and Messiah's mom, she's your daughter?
You mean Brittany?
Yes.
Yes, Brittany Encinias is my daughter. She just got out of jail and she went to a treatment program 6 months to a year. And after that, she's going to get her kids back together. If she's doing right, then I'll give her kids back.
Okay, so she's out of jail now, but in a treatment program?
Yes, ma'am.
Where is that program?
I don't know. It's in New Mexico.
Okay. I pass the wins.
Ma'am?
All right. Okay, do you have a recommendation to make?
I am concerned for the safety of the kids with what appears to be a history of back and forth regarding the domestic violence. And do think it would be in the kids' best interest if Trini could work some services to help develop a better safety net for them.
I do.
All right. Well, I have to find that the evidence is sufficient to that abuse or neglect of the children has occurred, or that there's a substantial risk of abuse or neglect of the children, or that there's a continuing danger to the physical health or safety of the children caused by Ms. Encinias or her failure to act, and further to find that services are necessary to ensure the physical health or safety of the children. I don't think the evidence is sufficient that any of those things have occurred to the children. Do I have grave concerns about the environment and what the children may be learning and hearing? I absolutely do. Ms. Encinias, I'm not going to enter an order for you to participate in services today, so this case is going to be dismissed. But let me just give you some free advice.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, sweetheart.
You are on law enforcement's radar. You are on the department's radar, because don't take this that I don't think there's some concern for these kids, because I do.
No, I understand that, ma'am.
No, don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. Another law enforcement call out, another incident, I'm just telling you that you need to look hard at your situation and what it may be doing to the children. And, my free advice to you today is you need to get out of that house and out from under the direct thumb of this man. Stand on your own 2 feet financially. That's what you need to do. But, none of that's going to happen today by my court order. And I don't think that you're in the mindset that you're going to probably gain anything from the services that we're going to ask you to work. I think you'll use it as a checklist, and I think you're going to just keep doing what you're doing. But I'm just telling you, you're not in a good situation, and it may eventually lead to a much more drastic, consideration by the department. So go on about your life. Good luck to you. hope you'll make some good choices.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. I'll take
All
your
right.
advice into
Case
consideration.
is dismissed. Thank you all. We're here today set
Thanks, Judge.
Thank you, ma'am.
for a review,
Yes, ma'am.
and we are conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming. Ms. Taylor's making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Brandon Hernandez is my permanency specialist today, Your Honor. We were present ready.
Brooks Barfield, attorney for Alexis Jesso. I see her on the screen. We are present and ready.
Gary Morales for respondent father Elijah Castillo, Your Honor. He is still incarcerated in TDCJ. I forget which unit.
Montford.
Montford. There you go. But I'm ready.
Stacy Zappello on behalf of the kids.
All right, then. What do we have new since the service or the since the court report was filed, which I have reviewed? So we're trying to play catch up here. I'm trying not to cover same ground.
Yes, ma'am. Your Honor, we were, of course, this was set for a final on this today, but we'd be asking for a monitored return to be placing the children back with the mother and go into an official monitored return.
All right.
And I emailed Ms. Zavala and all the attorneys yesterday. Mr. Barfield said they would were in agreement with it. Ms. Zavala's in agreement with it. Mr. Morales stated it, his client's in jail. He didn't really have much say on that, can agree or not agree to it. But we are looking to place the children back. I believe the reunification plan is currently being filed. I got a copy of it this morning. But that is what we're looking at doing, is returning to the mom for a monitored return.
All right. And can you just give me a quick idea? I mean, how soon are we going to do that? What's the point? I mean, kind of what's the reunification plan? We have any contingencies or anything like that?
Brandon, can you answer some of that for me?
Yes, Your Honor. We would start this week and the kids would be placed October 7th. Each week we would increase unsupervised access. The only thing we ask is that Alexis maintains transportation for the children and for herself to meet at an agreed location with foster parents to pick up the children. But it would be October 7th would be the day the children are returned home.
All right. Okay. Mr. Barfield, that you and your client's agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Morales, I know you don't really aren't in a position probably to agree or disagree, but obviously your client could not be placement for the children this time.
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor. And for a little bit more clarification, based on my previous conversations with him, I don't think that he would have any objection. That's what I indicated to Mr. Trout. But I just, with him being in a TDCJ unit and getting in contact with him, I have to set up an appointment, get my IDs done. And when this was circulated yesterday, I didn't have the time to get all that stuff set up to actually contact him about this specifically. But I don't think he would have an objection to this based on my previous conversations, Your Honor.
Okay. Just real quickly, let's see. Have we gotten genetic testing back on him?
Your Honor, if my understanding, if my memory serves me, he did not want genetic testing. I think he kind of refused to do it. Can't remember if we actually had it ordered. Most of the reports I have seen state that he does not believe his father is going to be in jail for a while and doesn't want to have anything to do with the case.
Well, I showed that I ordered it. But
Judge, if I may, it was ordered, and I think there's a scheduled time in Lubbock, Texas, that the children are going to be there. I think it's on the 25th of this month.
okay. All right. Very good. Okay, then, Ms. Zavala, you good with this?
I am. It is my agreement for the step up monitored return. I was set to meet with the kids and mom on Saturday. That visit got canceled suddenly. But I anticipate that I'll be able to meet with them on one of the next visits. I would ask that either Ms. Jesso or Mr. Hernandez that y'all keep me apprised as to the schedule so that I can do so. But I am in agreement to move forward towards this monitored return.
Okay. All right. Okay, then. Sounds good. Ms. Jesso, congratulations. We've got a few weeks to go, so just be sure you just keep doing what you've been doing, and kids then will ultimately be placed on a monitored return then October 7th, but I'm going to order the monitored return. And I'll see you back to review everything on January 9th of 2024. And we will be set for a final on March 5th of 2024 on a 9 o'clock docket. Do we have a new dismissal date figured out?
March 12th of 2024.
Best of luck to you. Hope everything goes well.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay. All right. Thank you all very much. Apologize for keeping you waiting. For our adversary hearing, we are conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and consent and agreement of the parties. We are live streaming and Ms. Taylor's making our record. All right, we can go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I'm present, ready, Your Honor.
Stacy Grant on behalf of the mother, Tesla Barsavage. My client is present. We're ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Evelyn.
Okay, and Mr. Tanner Carnes, the alleged father in the case, is not present today. Although he was, let's see. Well, case started as a participation case, but he was present, I know, at one of those hearings, but he is not present today.
And Your Honor, we've sent out for service on him. We have not got him served yet.
All right, and Ms. Barsavage just submitted her request for a court-appointed attorney. We got it late yesterday afternoon, and Ms. Grant graciously agreed to appear on very quick notice, albeit she's got familiarity with the facts of the case. Ms. Grant, are you ready to proceed today, or do you need additional time to discuss this with your client?
Your Honor, we're ready to proceed today. I was able to speak with my client prior to the beginning of the hearing. She's in agreement to allow the department to be temporary managing conservator. Our only request, if Mr. Trout could agree, would be that the child is placed with the paternal grandmother, Tracy, at this point, and we would just request that no movement of the child occur without a court hearing. And she is willing to work services and do what she needs to do to regain custody of her child.
Okay, department have any objection to that request? I certainly don't.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
And Your Honor, this child is very young, and so I'm not sure what frequency of visitation might be offered, or if the grandmother could be considered or checked into for suitable supervision, since bonding needs to occur between the mother and the baby.
All right, I'm gonna let the department respond to that.
Casey, are you aware of what the visitations are right now, where we sit?
So it's my understanding that St. Francis has not set up any visitation yet. I don't know if that's not able to get in contact with the specific family members to coordinate that. But I would not have issues with the paternal grandmother should St. Francis find that appropriate.
Hippie, I'm assuming you're going to be the supervisor on this one.
Yes, sir. They've had trouble getting a hold of mom, getting her to respond, is my understanding.
But are we kind of set up with grandmother? Is that what we're looking at?
Yes, there's still a pending home study. It's been submitted. As soon as that is back, shouldn't be any issues. The background checks look fine, so I don't think we'll have a problem with grandma supervising visits.
Okay.
And prior to this meeting, my client did discover she's not able to get into her Gmail account. So Tippy, I will send you an email regarding a way to reach her.
Okay.
And also, having not had the adversary and spoken to me, I think there was some confusion about do I or don't I do certain things. But I believe we're all on the same page. And if you need anything as far as contact, I'd be happy to facilitate.
Okay. Thank you, Stacy.
All right, so father has not been served. He's alleged, correct? He's an alleged father. And he has not turned in any paperwork requesting a court-appointed attorney. We haven't seen it. Ms. Wyatt, you've not received anything?
No, the last contact I had with him was on the 8th, talking to him about that form, but I've not had any communication with him since.
And are he and mother still residing together?
They are not, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, an arrest, there's a MOEP, a magistrate's emergency protective order in place right now that I think it's, unless they get a court hearing, I believe it is set to stay in place until October 17th, I think is the date that I saw, that keeps mom and dad apart right now.
All right.
Because of this separation, I will, just for informational purposes to the caseworker and the supervisor, because the separation, my client doesn't have a car right now. And so she's happy to comply with drug screen requests, but may need assistance with transportation when possible to get to those screens during this period until we can arrange some transportation solutions for her.
That's no problem, Stacy. The worker on this case is going to be Jalissa Bird. And so we can help with any transportation she needs, and she'll have a parent support worker as well.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Trout, do you wish to put on any testimony or anything regarding father today, or is my having reviewed and read the removal affidavit and investigative report sufficient?
If it's sufficient for me, if it is for you, Your Honor, I'm good with that.
Any objection?
No, Judge.
No objection.
Is Mr. I know there've been some arrests. Do we know, is Mr. Carnes currently in jail, or is he bonded out?
He is out, Your Honor. I'll say I looked at this late last night. I believe the arrest for the domestic violence case was rejected due to evidence issues. Then he was arrested again for the violation of the protective order. My understanding, that was rejected due to the prior DV case being rejected, but the protective order still stands in place. So those two arrests have resulted right now in no charges.
All right.
So he is out of jail right now is what I'm saying.
Let me just ask, Ms. Swihart, was he aware of today's hearing?
Yes, he was.
Okay. Was he provided the link?
Yes, he was.
Okay. All right. Ms. Swihart, is there any new information regarding Mr. Carnes and his involvement in the case since the affidavit removal was submitted?
No, there's been nothing new.
Okay. All right, then, in the interest of time today, because we fell so far behind, then I will find that the evidence is sufficient to name the department as temporary managing conservator. I'm not going to order any child support or medical support for mom to pay, and obviously I can't order that since father is just alleged at this point in time. I'll find that there would be a continuing and ongoing danger to the child to return the child home. At this point, I will find that the department has exercised reasonable efforts to avoid removal of the child, but that despite those efforts, there would be this ongoing and continuing danger. Ms. Barsavage, I appreciate your cooperation. I will talk with you more about your services at our next hearing, but as soon as you and department and St. Francis sit down, you all will develop a service plan and you can get started on those things. You do not have to wait till our next hearing to start. So I encourage you to get going on those things right away. As far as visitation, I do want St. Francis to set up what we would do sort of normal visitation, because I would like those to be observed at least for some period of time. But I have no problem if placement is willing to do some additional supervision, because we are talking about an infant. So, normally Ms. Barsavage would have 2 hours supervised weekly. So we can still do that. And then I have no problem if placement is willing to say, do another, 4 to 6 hours a week if placement can do that. I don't want to put an undue burden on placement. So I'm just going to let St. Francis work with placement and find out what's realistic for placement to do. But I certainly have no problem with that. Placement needs to be very keenly aware of the rules, and that Mr. Barsavage would not be participating in that along with mother.
And Your Honor, I do want to say, I forgot to mention
Not
this.
Mr. Carnes. I'm sorry, Mr. Carnes would not be present during any of that visitation.
And Your Honor, I do believe, I will check on this and notify everybody, but I believe the child was also listed on the MOAP as a protected child on there. So it may be that we can't give visitations to him until after October 17th.
Okay.
That is also our understanding, Your Honor, of the protective order.
Okay. So he isn't present today to even request that, but obviously we can't override that. And so he won't have any access, but I want placement. Placement is his mother, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure, and I'm probably, beating the dead horse here, that placement understands and understands the consequences of allowing him around, that could mean removal of the child from that placement. So, and we don't want that. So, okay. Yes, sir.
One quick thing. Do we want to, since he is alleged on this, they were living together at the time, do we want to go ahead and order genetic testing at this time, or do we want to wait till he is present to see if he'll just voluntarily do that?
I'm fine with going ahead and ordering it. Let's just get going on that.
Yes, ma'am.
And hopefully he will fill out his paperwork and, make it a request for an attorney. Just obviously makes it better for everybody, I think.
Yes, ma'am. We'll get an order into that.
Okay.
And Judge, are you okay with the finding that the child will not be placement moved unless the home study fails or a court hearing?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. Thank you.
I would phrase that placement will not change, unless it's by agreement or court order.
The placement and my client enjoy a good relationship, and we don't expect there to be any issues there.
Okay. All right. I appreciate everybody. Thank you all very much. And I'll see you back for the status conducting this through the Zoom program under a finding of good cause and consent and agreement of the parties. We are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. All right, we'll take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We are present, ready, Your Honor.
Brooks Barfield, attorney for respondent Letitia Lerman, the mother. I do not believe she is here. Therefore, I have to ask for a continuance so she could attend the hearing. Subsequent to that, I am here, obviously.
All right, motion for continuance is denied.
Natalie Archer here for Father Cesar Alcaraz Rosales. I'm present. I've been unable during this duration of the case to locate my client.
Stacey Zavala, on behalf of the children.
Carla King with Amarillo Area CASA.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd call Haley Jordan. And how are you familiar with that case?
I was actually the investigator on this case.
Okay. And can you tell me how did the department become involved with this case and these children?
Originally, the department became involved on May 26th due to the allegations were mom and her boyfriend were injecting methamphetamine.
Okay. And did that start out here in Potter County?
No, sir, it didn't.
It started in a different county.
Yes.
How did it end up and how and when did it end up in Potter County?
On July 5th, I was called out by law enforcement to a Days Inn in Amarillo, where police had located mom and her children. The children had been placed on a SISCAL, which is the safety, oh man, that abbreviation, Child Safety Check Alert List with law enforcement because they had not been located. So law enforcement made contact with the family and on July 5th, 2022 at the Days Inn and detained them until we got there.
Okay. So law enforcement called you to the hotel?
Yes.
And did you go to the hotel?
Yes, I did.
Were you able to make contact with the mother?
Yes, I was.
What kind of conversation did you have with the mother at that time?
I had spoke to mom. Her and I privately spoke in the motel room while the kiddos were downstairs in the pool. Police were watching the kids swim. So I noticed that she had big clothes on and it was like 100 degrees outside. So I requested that she take her sweatshirt off. She had a tank top on. And at that point, I questioned her about her drug use because she was covered in track marks.
Was that arms, body, legs?
Yes, originally I just asked her to remove this part and it was her arms. And then she did lift up her shirt for me and it was on her abdomen. And then at that point I requested to see her legs and her entire body was covered in track marks.
Okay. At that time, did you ask Ms. Lerman to drug screen?
I did.
And did she agree to?
She did.
Did she state anything about whether she would be positive or negative?
At first she did not, but then she did confide in me and tell me that she had actively used meth. She said 8 days.
Okay. But very recently she had admitted to using it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
What was your next steps as far as trying to prevent a removal at that time?
I had asked Ms. Lerma for any family members that we could possibly place the children with prior to the extreme of removing them. I knew that the children had other family members. However, at that point, her mother was sick and couldn't care for the kids. And then she said that her sister was not appropriate. And then we did look into that, and then it was deemed that we could not find anybody anywhere to place the kids in that quick of a situation.
Okay. During your conversations with mom, did she tell you who she believed the father of the children were?
Yes.
And who was that?
Cesar Lerma. Cesar. I don't know exactly how you say it.
Okay. Was it
Rosales? I'm sorry, Rosales.
Okay.
Her last name's Lerma.
Okay. Cesar Rosales is who she said was the father.
Yes.
Did she give you any contact information or tell you where he may be?
No, sir. She was unsure.
Okay. Did she state what state he may be in, or?
I believe he may be in Alaska or Florida is what she said.
Okay. Outside of that, did she give you any phone number, email address, anything, any kind of?
No, sir.
Was there somebody else traveling with mom?
Yes, Mr. Chu.
Okay. And is he just a friend of mom's? Do we know who he was?
I guess he was her boyfriend, is what they told me.
Okay. Was he asked to drug screen at that time also?
Yes, he was.
Okay. Did he drug screen for you?
Yeah, he did.
Okay. So after discussing people that could be safety monitors for them, you said there was no one deemed that could watch. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
At that time, due to mom's admitted drug use, recent drug use, her friend that was traveling's possible drug use, and then no contact on dad, was it determined that the children needed to be removed for their safety?
Yes, sir, it was.
And that would be in the best interest of the children?
Yes, sir.
Did you run any searches later? Did you run any searches on dad to try to find him?
Yes, we did, and we weren't able to locate him. We actually found the last known address in North Carolina.
But no contact was made at him at that time?
No, sir.
Did you try to send letters or mail to him at that address?
We did. We sent certified mail and it got returned.
After the removal, did you ask mom to submit to a hair strand?
Yes, sir, we did.
Okay. And did mom agree?
She did.
Your Honor, I would ask to admit exhibit number 1 It is the business records affidavit for the drug screens on Ms. Lerma.
I would just object on the grounds not as to the records affidavit and that the drug screen was taken, but as to the actual results as it is not quantified by a chemist.
All right, well, Mr. Barfield, as usual, I will grant your objection as to any interpretation of those results, but as far as what it states in the report, that will be admissible.
Ms. Jordan, do you know after mom drug screen, did you see the results?
No, sir, I didn't. It was still pending at the close of my case.
Okay. So you're not sure whether those came back as positive or negative?
No, sir.
Did mom also state that she had already reported her meth use and that she would comply with result or any request made?
Yes, she did.
I'll pass the witness at this time, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Barfield?
Yeah, thank you, Judge. Ma'am, did you have anything to do after the case was court ordered and there was orders brought into this case other than investigation?
No, sir.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
All right, and Ms. Archer?
No questions.
And Ms. Zavala?
I have no questions, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Trout, anything further of this witness?
Nothing further, Ms. Jordan, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Jordan, you're free to go on about your day. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
All right,
Thank
you
you.
too. All right, you can call your next witness.
I call Mavis Apuko Asante. How are you familiar with this case?
I'm the permanent specialist on the case.
Okay. When you first receive a case, what are your first steps?
Okay, so when I receive a case, we do a family plan, and I did it with Letitia Lerma.
Okay. And did you tell me what are family plans?
Okay, family plans are plans that we do for the parent to ensure that whatever they were lacking, we give them the services to help them in the next step.
Okay. And is this a procedural step to help parents reunite with their children?
Yes.
And you did do service plans on this case, is that correct?
Correct.
And were those service plans made in order of the court?
Yes.
Did the mother, Letitia Lerma, did she sign her family plans of service?
Yes.
Ms. Mavis, did you receive the exhibits that I sent out?
Yes.
Were you able to review them?
Yes.
Did you see exhibit number 2?
Yes.
And what is that?
Is it a family plan?
Okay. And who is that family plan for?
It's for Letitia Lerma.
Okay. And is this an accurate copy of the service plans that you did for Ms. Lerma?
Yes.
Do they appear to be altered in any kind of way?
No.
Your Honor, I would ask to admit exhibit number 2, which is the family plans of service for Ms. Lerma. What type of services was mom asked to work?
She was supposed to do her individual counseling. She was supposed to do parenting classes. She was supposed to find employment, housing, and then keep in good faith with me, and then visit her children, and then do domestic violence classes.
Okay.
And OSA as well. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Did mom work her services?
She did some.
Okay. Let's start with that. Which services did mom work?
Oh, she did her she did her psychosocials, and she did her OSA, but then she did her OSAs. She did complete her she was supposed to go into inpatient. She did that. She was let me see. Initially, she was doing her parenting, her visitation with her children, but it got stopped. So she did complete some, but then not all.
Okay. Let's walk down through these real quick. Is Ms. Lerma, did she keep a job for at least 6 months?
No.
Do you know if she is currently employed?
Currently, I'm not sure because I've lost touch with her since August.
Do you know where she is living right now?
No, I do not.
Do you know whether she has transportation?
No, she does not.
You said that her visitations were stopped. When was that?
January
Of 2023?
of this year, 2023.
Okay. Why were those stopped?
They were stopped because she failed to report on 2 occasions, and after that, she missed a couple of visits.
Okay. And when you say failed to report, what do you mean? Do you mean to the visitations or report to something else?
No, report to the visitation.
Okay, so she missed 2 visits.
Yeah.
Were those no call, no show visits?
No call, no show.
Since that time, has mom reached out and requested or started working services again in order to regain visitations?
No, she did not until like in June when she went into rehab, and then, but then she did not request for her to have visitation with her children.
Okay. Did she complete rehab in June?
Yeah, she did complete rehab in June.
Since she has been out in June, at the end of June, did she reach out for visitations?
No.
How many times have you spoken to her since she's been out?
It was in August the 7th when I spoke to her.
Okay. Was that a telephone call or was that email or text message?
No, a telephone call.
Okay. Did she tell you where she was?
She did not. She just was telling me about her Faith City program.
Okay. Do you know whether she got in Faith City?
She did not. She did all her paperwork. She did her interviews, and she failed to report on the day that she was supposed to report.
Now, at the last hearing we had, she was court ordered to stay at Serenity. Is that correct?
Correct.
Until she got into a program.
Yes.
Okay. Did she stay at Serenity?
No, she did not.
Did she reach out and after she left rehab, did she leave town?
She left town.
Did she notify you before or after she left?
After she left.
And how did she notify you that?
Through a text message.
Did you receive exhibit number 5 that I sent?
Well, I called the Serenity and I wanted to find out if she was there to tell her about her moving to Faith City. But when I called, she wasn't there. So I was calling all numbers and I couldn't get her. So I think I had a number for her and I sent her a text message. And then she sent me this that I see on my screen that she was going to Houston and she'll be returning on the 1st. And when she gets back, she will call me.
Okay. So this section of the email is the message that she sent you back.
Yes.
And that's how you were notified that she was no longer in Amarillo.
Correct.
Ms. Mays, did she really know the people that she went to Houston, I believe, went to Houston with?
No.
Do you know where she met these people or how she knew them or ended up with them?
No.
Did she contact you when she got back?
No, she did not.
Now, you said you did talk to her though on August 7th. Is that when you called her or did she call you?
No, she called me.
Okay, so about a week after she got back, she contacted you.
Yes.
And have you heard from her since then?
No.
Did she give you any information of where she's living? Any other contact information of how you could meet with her?
No.
And the children have been in care for over a year, is that correct?
Correct.
Due to not knowing where mother lives, her travels in and out of town, do you believe that she can provide a safe and stable environment for the children?
No, I do not.
Did mom complete her parenting classes?
No, she did not even start.
I'm sorry, say that again?
She did not even start.
She did not start those, okay. You said she did her psychosocial, is that correct?
Correct.
Were there any recommendations from the psychosocial?
Yes.
And what were those?
She was supposed to be employed. She was supposed to stay off drugs. She was supposed to have stable housing. and she did none of those.
Okay. Did she complete her individual counseling?
No, she did not.
Did she start individual counseling?
Yeah, when I set it up for her in June, she did one in July the 11th, and she did the next one July the 19th. But the other one on July the 25th, it was a no-show, no call.
Okay. And is that, when you're saying July, are you talking about of 2023 or 2022?
No, 2023.
Okay. Did she, so back up just a second. How many sessions of individual counseling does she have left?
2.
She has 2. Okay. And she completed her rational behavior. Is that correct?
Correct.
However, after leaving rehab, you already testified that she was ordered to stay in Serenity till she ended up in Haven House or another long term. Is that correct?
Yes.
And she failed to comply with that court order. Is that correct?
Correct.
When was the last time mom drug screened for you?
That was in January.
In January. So it's been 8 months?
8 months. Yes.
Okay. Has mom stated why she has failed to, have you sent her to drug tests?
No, it's because she was gone for a while, and she came back in June. So in June she was in rehab, and they were testing her over there. So she was, yeah. And after that, when she came back, I told her I was going to send we never thought the judge was going to send her to another long-term care. So she was supposed to leave that place to long-term care. So I didn't expect her to drug test until she came back.
Okay. Did after she came back from Houston with people that she wasn't sure who they were, you expect her to go into a care facility, so you did not test her. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. Now we're going to switch gears just a little bit to the dad. Have you received any contact information or any way to contact the alleged father, Cesar Rosales?
Yes.
Have you been able to contact him?
Yes, I did.
When was that?
I did that in August.
August
of this year, 2023.
Okay. You were able to get in touch with him?
Yes, I sent him a text message and he responded.
Okay. Do you know what was the response?
I asked whether that was Cesar Rosales and I needed to talk to him, and he said, yes, this is Cesar.
Is that all he said?
Yes.
Did you continue the conversation with him?
Yes.
And what was he made aware of this case?
Yes, I told him his children were in care, so I needed him to contact me as soon as possible so I could give him the details of the case. And I called him like several times, more than 5 times, and he wouldn't respond.
Okay. During your text message, did he admit or deny or anything being the father of the children?
No, he did not.
Okay. Did he say that he was interested in working with the department?
No, he never responded to my second question anymore.
Okay. So your original text asked if it was Cesar Rosales.
Yeah.
He responded that it was.
Yes.
But he never responded after that.
Yes.
Okay. But how many, do you know approximately how many times you've tried to contact him since then?
Oh, I've called him several times. Every month, I do all the checks and I call his number several times. I even called his sister one time and she wouldn't also respond. So.
Okay. And you said this was, you made contact in August of this year.
Yes.
You know what date that was?
Yeah, I can check on my phone.
Okay.
August the 10th.
August 10th. Okay. And so you called what?
No, when he sent me the first message on August the 6th that this is Cesar, then I knew that was him. So I started calling. I called several times on that day and he wouldn't respond. And then I sent him a text message on the 6th and he wouldn't respond. I called him again and then I sent him another text message and he wouldn't respond.
Okay. And as far as the exhibits I sent, did you receive exhibit number 3?
Yes.
And those are what?
Those are family plans for Cesar Rosales.
Now, you just made contact with him in August, so he hasn't had a chance to see those or work those, correct?
Correct.
But they were made in order of the court.
Correct.
You also received exhibit number 4.
Yes.
And can you tell me what those are?
Diligence search, certificate for diligence search. Yeah.
Okay. So this is the paternity registry, correct?
Correct.
And this is, the children were born in Florida, is that, you understand?
Correct.
And so these are the paternity registry searches done out of Florida.
Yeah.
Do they state that any claim was ever filed for our child?
No.
Ms. Mavis, your understanding the father is alleged, correct?
Correct.
Is the department asking today, well, excuse me, let me back up just a second. How are the children doing?
Oh, they are doing great.
And where are they?
The girls are in Amarillo and the boys are in Dallas.
Okay. And the girls are with mom's sister, is that correct?
Correct.
Are they, now, if I remember correctly, mom's sister has children of her own.
Correct.
And they have a pretty full house, is that correct?
Correct.
Is mom's sister placement at this time, is she long-term motivated? Is she wanting to adopt or wanting to keep the kids long-term?
Yeah, she really wants to adapt.
Is she licensed or is she working on license? Where are we on that?
Well, right now we're working with her, not on license because she had a past with CPS, so we're working on that.
Okay. All right. And is that passed, that was out of Florida?
No, it was here in Amarillo.
Okay. All right. But she, even with her CPS pass, she regained custody of her children, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
And the boys, you said are in Dallas?
Yeah, they're in foster care.
Okay. And how are they progressing in foster care there?
Oh, they are doing great.
Okay. Is that placement, are they possible long-term?
No.
Okay. All right. Or do we have any leads on any type of long-term for those boys?
Well, the grandmother recently said she'll be a possible placement, but she's looking for a residence. So immediately she gets a house, she will be able to provide me those informations for me to do a home study on.
Okay. So grandmother, and that's mom's mother.
Correct.
Is looking for bigger residence in order to provide.
Have the boys. Yeah.
All right. But she is willing to go through the home study process and to try to gain placement for them.
Correct.
Is the department today, are you asking for termination of the parental rights of the mother, Leticia Lerma, as to the 5 children, due to essentially constructive abandonment for not having seen the kids in 8 months?
Yes, sir.
For failure to work services, and you have had no contact and don't know where mom is living or if she is currently drug free. Is that correct?
Correct.
She also failed to comply with another court order as to stay where she was until she was in a long-term care.
Yes.
And do you believe that is in the best interest of the children?
Yes.
As to the father, the alleged father, Cesar Rosales, are you asking the court to terminate his parental rights as to the 5 children based on failure to register with the paternity registry?
Yes.
And failure to work services and alternative?
Yes.
And do you believe that that is in the best interest of the children?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Barfield?
Thank you, Judge. Ma'am, I believe you testified the last contact you had with my client was August 7th of this year. Is that correct?
Correct.
Was that when she was in Houston or before?
No, I think when she came back because she was requested some information about the Faith City.
Okay. And since that date, you've been unable to contact her?
No.
Okay. And you testified, without going back through to what you testified, it's fair that she did work a number of services and then failed to complete some services as well?
Correct.
Okay. Now, are you as the department asking for termination in this case or possessory conservatorship?
Termination.
And is that based upon your previous statements?
Yes.
In this particular case, is there any path right now for adoption of these children?
Yes.
And what is the status of that?
Well, we're still working on that.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah, the girls' placement is willing to adopt the girls, and then with the boys, we're looking at the grandmother to be possible placement, or any family member who will be willing to, give us his details for us to do a home study on.
Okay. But right now, there's still a lot of stuff up in the air in regards to a permanency for these children, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, do you have the drug test that was admitted? When was that taken, if you know?
The drug test, the last one.
Yes.
The last one was taken in December, and we got the results back in January. Yeah.
Okay. So just for clarification of the record, there's been no drug testing since December. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So we don't know currently if my client is positive or negative, do we?
Well, when she came back in March, she admitted to me that she's been on drugs throughout. And that's when I requested her to go into Serenity, and she told me she wasn't ready then.
Okay. So when did she go in Serenity?
She went in June.
Okay. So and did she complete Serenity?
Yes, she did.
Okay.
But she was court ordered to stay there till she went to another facility, which was Faith City, and she left Serenity before she could get into Faith City.
Okay. All right. So as we sit here today, you do not know her living situation.
Correct.
As we sit here today, you do not know her transportation situation.
Correct.
Okay. As we sit here today, you don't know if she's employed or not.
Correct.
We certainly don't know what any drug test results would reveal today as well, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you not feel that if we left her as a possessory conservator in that it would not be beneficial to give her the opportunity to have a relationship for her children? Do you disagree with that?
I disagree with that.
Okay. Is it based on your previous testimony?
Correct.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. And Ms. Archer?
How did you get the phone number for the texts that were in Exhibit 5?
Letitia gave it to me. I saw Letitia on 776, and she gave me those numbers.
But as far as we know, we don't know if that was the correct Cesar Rosales that we have here in the case, based on his responses.
He told me that is Cesar Rosales.
Do we know if it's the same Cesar Rosales that's involved in this case?
Well, I can't say for sure, but I know it's him.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, and Ms. Zavala?
In regards to Mom, the last drug test was in December, and then you said in March. What did she say to you about her drug use in March?
She admitted to me that she's been using drugs.
Did she say which drugs?
She said methamphetamines.
And in April, you requested her to go and she failed to attend, correct?
Correct. She told me she wasn't ready.
She wasn't ready to test?
Yes. No, she said she wasn't ready to go into rehab.
Okay. Did she say anything about why she missed the test in April?
No, I didn't send her to test in April. I wanted her, when she told me about the heavy drug use, I wanted her to go into rehab immediately.
Okay, so that conversation took place in March,
yes,
and she refused. When was the next time that you were able to speak with her?
She left, I think she left her mother's house. When she went into rehab, that's when she called me and told me she was going to check herself in. So it was around May, the end of May, when she told me she was going to check herself in rehab.
Okay, so from March to May, was she sent to drug screen at all?
No.
Did you have any communication with her between March and May?
No, March I had, but then she left her mother's house and her location was unknown. So I didn't get to see her again until end of June when she sent me a text telling me that she was going to check herself in.
Okay, so after your conversation in March where she said, I've been using, I'm not ready to go to rehab, then shortly thereafter, she left the location where you had been able to meet with her, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and so you had no way to reach her and no communication from her from that time period all the way until June?
May ending.
The end of May? Okay. So did she call you or did you call her at the end of May?
She called me and told me she was going to check herself in.
Okay. And do you know approximately when in May that was?
I think it was getting to the end of May, around 25th, 26th.
So in March, she refused to drug test, refused to go to rehab, said she'd been using. Then there was no contact until May when she was going to check herself into rehab. When you spoke with her in May, did she admit to drug use over the past few months?
Yes.
Okay. And that was why she was checking herself into rehab?
Yes. She told me she was tired of that lifestyle and she wanted to do right.
And then she did in fact go to Serenity.
Yes.
She was aware of today's final hearing, correct?
Correct.
And she was aware that she needed to be in contact with you in preparation for that hearing.
Correct.
So the last you've heard from her is August 7th. Were you able to talk to her about any potential drug use at that time?
No, I did not talk about drug use. I wanted her to check into Faith City. So that's what we talked about.
Okay. And you talked about doing some interviews and paperwork. Had she been accepted into Faith City and then didn't show up? Or
yes.
So they had actually, after all that paperwork, they said, you've got a place, and there was a date and time for her to show up.
Yes. Okay.
And she knew that they had a place for her.
Yes.
You were able to give her that information.
No, she had those informations.
Okay. Okay. And she didn't show up?
No, she did not.
And have you had any contact with her since?
No.
No request to see the children?
No, none. But she had told me on 7/7 when I went to see her at Serenity that she said she's been away from the children for so long and she doesn't know how she's going to care for them if she even has them. So she has expressed to me that she needed help in that area. So that's why I was recommending the Faith City to her, so that when she goes to tell her everything about parenting and I know all the feelings that she has, she can express it to the counselor over there.
In the past, how you were able to reach her when she was with her mom, correct?
Yes.
Okay, but she's not there now?
No.
Okay. And you were able to reach her on some different phone numbers. Do any of those phone numbers work?
Well, her phone number is not really like a phone. It's like she has to be connected to a Wi-Fi before you can get her. So anytime I have to send her a message, it has to be either text or I'll leave a voicemail for her so that when she gets around Wi-Fi, then she'll be able to retrieve that message and then she'll either text or call me back.
During the course of this case, has your phone number ever changed?
No.
And you've been her caseworker this entire time?
Yes.
Does she know where the physical St. Francis office is?
Yes.
Has she ever shown up there?
No.
I pass witness.
All right. Mr. Trout, anything further of this witness?
Just a couple of real quick questions, Your Honor. Ms. Mavis, we are currently in extension on this case. Is that correct?
Correct.
And we went into extension in order for mom to be able to finish rehab.
Yes.
And in order to give her a chance to work some services. Is that correct?
Correct.
And since that time, mom has failed to abide by a court order. and in the last 6 weeks has texted you once and talked to you once. Is that correct?
Correct.
And she has still not completed any of those services.
No, she has not.
And she, from the day the early final was set at the extension. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so mom was in that hearing.
Yeah.
She was aware of it.
Yes.
And from seeing that she's not here today, mom has also failed to show up for this hearing. So mom has a history throughout this case of disappearing for long periods of time, correct?
Correct.
And not being reliable to follow through.
Correct.
I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Trout, does the department rest?
Department rest, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Barfield, anything to present?
No, Your Honor, I have no witnesses. I would go ahead and rest.
And Ms. Archer?
I'll rest.
Ms. Zavala?
Address, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Zavala, do you have a recommendation to make?
I do. I do believe it's in all the children's best interest that the parental rights for both parents be terminated today.
All right, and Ms. King, on behalf of CASA.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, again, CASA has had off and on contact with the mother. The last time I believe was in June when she was in Serenity. And then of course we've lost all contact with her, as well as the father, Cesar. He's not responded to any correspondence that CASA has sent nor a phone call. And CASA does recommend termination of parental rights of both parents. And of course, like has been said, the children have been in care for over a year. I think that one of the concerns that we have that I need to bring up is sibling contact with one another. These children are from Dallas to Amarillo, and we have a relative that the girls are placed with that's willing to cooperate with policy of St. Francis regarding face-to-face contact with their siblings. We've had 2 family team meetings, and a lot has been covered and accomplished in order to make sure that these children are connected. I think that that's one of the biggest concerns we have at this point, for these kids to be able to see one another and actually see and talk instead of Zoom. I know that they can't do it every month, but at least it's a start.
All right, thank you. And I did see prior to today's or the commencement of the hearing, the motions filed by Ms. Zavala, one which was for sibling contact, and then the other was with respect to getting an amended or supplemental home study on Crystal Olivas and Alvaro Flores, which was previously denied. That's correct, Ms. Zavala?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And they have an interest in being placement for the boys.
They do.
Okay. All right. And they're both willing to undergo drug testing for us before we would commence on that request?
Yes, Your Honor. I didn't want to muddy the waters on the final hearing, but yes, the aunt and uncle feel like some of the information maybe was inaccurate. They'd like to clarify. One of the concerns is potential drug use. They're both willing to drug screen and to do whatever's necessary. It has been over a year since that home study. And Ms. Watson and I had some discussions. I'm hoping that we could either get an amended, supplemental, or even based on the age of the home study, a new home study. And in order to have them if the concern is drug use, to have that drug test ordered. They have stuck with the process and have participated with CASA in the family meetings. There's kind of a whole network of family in the Marble Falls area. There's a grandmother who may be ready for a home study soon. I would ask that we don't wait and have to do one and one, that they be run simultaneously if and when she's ready for that home study to start. It feels like there's a whole team of people there that could somehow come together to take care of these kids.
All right.
Your Honor, since it has been a year, if you could court order the reevaluation on that home study, that would make it happen a lot faster.
Okay.
And Judge, if I may, on the sibling visit, the placement for the girls has been given the opportunity to tell me whenever she wants to visit with the boys in Dallas, and then that can be done. So I don't think there's any concern about that. I've told her numerous times that anytime you want to go, just give me a week's notice, and I have to arrange with the LPS in Dallas for her to pick up the boys and then bring to the location that she wants. And then after the visit, she can transport the boys back to placement. So there's no concern about that. She knows.
I think
But it hasn't happened.
I think there's been some confusion or miscommunication. I don't believe placement feels like she has been authorized to do that. It sounds like St. Francis doesn't have an objection to that, so it sounds like that should be able to be set up immediately. But I do know that she was ready and willing, but didn't believe that she was able to. And I think that's just a miscommunication that can now be fixed and get those started.
Your Honor, we have no concerns with Destiny going down and seeing the boys. It's just based on her schedule. She doesn't need any supervision of any kind because she's been approved by the court as a caregiver. So it's up to her schedule and then to let us make the arrangements on the other end.
All right, then at this time, I find by clear and convincing evidence that it is in the best interest of all of the children to terminate the parental rights between Gabriella, Samuel, Luzbel, Caesar, and their mother, Letitia Lerma, based on Texas Family Code Section 161.001, subsection B1, the D, E, N, and O grounds, and the best interest of the children under B2. I also find by clear and convincing evidence it's in the best interest of all of the children, Gabriella, Samuel, Luzbel, Caesar, to terminate the alleged father's rights, Cesar Alcaraz Rosales, to the children based on Texas Family Code 161.001 B2, his failure to register with the paternity registry. And actually, I'll restate that his failure to register with the Florida Putative Fathers Registry, since all of the children were born in Florida. I'll dismiss all court-appointed attorneys. Excuse me, I'll name the Department of Family and Protective Services as the permanent managing conservator of all of the children. I'll dismiss all court-appointed attorneys after the de novo and appellate timeframes expire, with the exception of Ms. Zavala, who will remain in the case as the children's attorney and a guardian ad litem. And I would very much like to keep Costa involved at this point in time. I am going to order that there be sibling visits once per month. So that should take care of anything if there's any question about that. And I'm going to order the home study on the aunt and the uncle. All right. And will the department pay for drug testing on them, Ms. Watson?
Yes, ma'am, we will.
All right, let's go ahead and get them drug tested so we've got that in hand to provide for whoever's doing the home study. I'd like to do hair and UA on them.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, and so for now, no change in the children's placements, but we'll start taking a look at trying to find a more permanent situation for the boys. Sounds like we're good to go on the girls, or pretty good to go. So let's take a look at all this. Okay, our next review hearing for those still involved will be December 14th of 2023, and that'll be on a 9 o'clock docket.
And
So,
Your Honor, just to clarify on that home study on the aunt and uncle, is that are we ordering a new one, or is it a reevaluation? How are we ordering?
I think it's been long enough. I think let's start fresh with it. I mean, they may have moved. I just don't know.
Okay.
You know, I don't recall if there was anybody else in the home. I mean, you know, that's it. A year ago is a long time.
Yeah, it's been a year, so it'll have to be a new one.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you all very much. We need to get out of here so Ms. Taylor can go. We made it with 1 minute to go, Ms. Taylor. And Yesenia has aged out. So we're in trial independence
Yes,
period
ma'am.
on her. And so we are conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement and consent of the parties. We are live streaming and I am recording to the Zoom cloud. I don't have a court reporter this afternoon, but we are recording. All right. So what do we have? We'll go ahead and take announcements and then we'll get an update.
Daniel trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Deborah Tracy and Marissa Herrera are my workers today. We are present ready.
TD Hammonds for the, I believe Roman has, since our last hearing, I believe he told the department he did not want to take advantage of any of their services. So I believe they've released him. I don't think he's under their control anymore.
All right. Now I have Roman is just 17.
Okay. I'll back up then. I think they might have moved him back. He was in Canyon. I haven't been able to get a hold of him since our last hearing, but I mean, I'm open. Well, I'm ready to listen to what the department has to say. I did speak to Jacinia last night.
Okay. All right. Let's just get an update then from the department.
Roman is still in Canyon at that foster home. He does get visits with family members, but he's still in foster care right now. He's decided he doesn't want to do extended care. So as soon as he turns 18, he said he's pretty much walking out the door.
Yeah, that was what I meant, I guess, Judge.
And that'll be in January, Marissa? He turns 18?
Yes.
Okay. So, and so until then, he's willing to stay where he's at until he ages out, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. He's completed his PALS classes?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. Let's talk about Yesenia then.
Yes, ma'am. She's already turned 18. She's in trial independence. She has completed her PALS courses and she is connected to Buckner's Aftercare and has been accessing their support and their services. She received a HUD apartment this summer and is now living there. And I had tried several times to get a hold of her this month, but finally talked to her late yesterday afternoon, and she seems to continue to be doing okay in independence and just wanting to live on her own.
Okay.
Yeah,
all
Judge,
right.
that's
Mr.
my
Hammond,
understanding.
anything to add?
No, Judge, that's my understanding from talking to her yesterday. She does feel comfortable with the connection she has with Buckner. She is going to Richard Milburn. She wants to get her GED through or actually graduate through Richard Milburn. So, you know, that seems to be going fine. And she does still have a criminal issue down in New Braunfels, Texas, that I believe she is talking to her caseworker. They do help her with transportation to get down there. I think she still has a couple more trips down there to get it resolved.
Okay. All right. But she's staying in contact with them and taking care of business and doing what she needs to do.
Correct. I do
Sounds
believe
like.
she mentioned to me, I think she has one more, possibly a docket next month, and hopefully at that docket, they might be able to get it resolved. Either, you know, put her on some sort of pretrial diversion or a probation period. So that ought to get it resolved.
I will continue the department as permanent managing conservator of Rowan and continue his placement. And we'll just continue Yesenia's trial independence period. And looking to see, let's see, that will go until she's been in that for 7 months already, right?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. All right, well, we'll just continue on for a bit longer, and then we will have another review set for March 7th. And
Is there an age?
that's on a 9 o'clock docket.
Is there an age, Judge, at which they kind of graduate out of that trial independence issue? Is it just for like a year after they turn 18?
Yeah, if they haven't come back into care within that year, then the trial independence period will expire.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that ought to be fine.
So that technically will happen before our next hearing. And so I'm sure at that point, if she's not come back into care, then I'm sure they'll just send us an order that ends that trial independence.
And Judge, if I could, I don't care if I do this over YouTube or not. I give everybody my cell phone number, but if the caseworker could text me on my cell phone the most recent contact number they have for Roman, I'll give him a call and make sure he understands what's about to happen. My cell is...
All right. Okay. Thank you all very much.
All right. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Marissa and Deborah.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon.